go ahead and tell us what's the difference.
Sure. I have type 1 diabetes, and basically what type 1 diabetes is, now it's called type 1, used to be called juvenile diabetes. And basically what type 1 diabetes is, basically it's an autoimmune disease, and it affects about 10% of the population around the world. And this cannot be avoided. So that we have to understand. And so what basically happens is usually a trauma to the body, maybe a fever, some sort of a health condition that comes where your pancreas completely stops to produce the insulin. That's what we need to process all our sugar. So basically with type 1 diabetes, since your body isn't producing any insulin, you would need insulin right away. This is why they would take insulin shots or wear insulin pump and so on to to manage their diabetes. And for type 2, your body is still producing a little bit of insulin, or the insulin delivery is blocked somehow. So basically then if your doctor diagnoses you, sometimes they diagnose what do you call a pre-diabetes condition, which means they used to call it borderline, where it's the gray area where your blood sugar is maybe 4 or 5, it's sort of creeping up. And then what your doctor might do is start with a little bit of oral medication. Eventually type 2 will need insulin of some sort, because if you're not doing well with your blood sugar, your doctor might put you on a nighttime insulin, so when you get up in the morning, your blood sugar is fantastic.
So let's say I go to the doctor and the doctor says I'm pre-diabetic. Okay, so is there anything that I can do at that stage?
Absolutely. In fact, pre-diabetes condition is something that you could even work on to sort of ward off the diabetes from ever sort of becoming a full-blown diabetes.
Okay, that's good to hear.
So basically there's sort of 3 components. With pre-diabetes condition, your doctor may put you on a mild medication, may not. So what you can do is change your diet, change your lifestyle, which means it's sort of like you're on warning. So
it's a warning sign.
It's a warning sign. So basically means you need to pay attention to the diet. Type 2 happens because of genetics, bad genes, lifestyle, economic, I mean, there's so many things
that are linked with it.
Absolutely. But what we have, there's a lot of homeopathic treatments, there's so much we can do. But I think one person really needs to do is to tackle their diet, because food and diabetes, there's a huge, huge connection, because everything that we eat turns into sugar. And we need to understand what we're eating and how can I reduce the blood sugar in my body so that the type 2 doesn't become a full-time disease.
Comment I have is just from being an immigrant and South Asian, diabetes definitely, it's not in my family, thank God for that, but we eat a lot of oil and gravy and spicy food. What would be your recommendation to control, if not avoid, those kind of foods?
Siva, would you like to comment on that?
Sure. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's South Asian cooking or any ethnicity. I think, as I said, oil, butter, a lot of these fat add flavors. So what we can do is, one of the things that I always recommend people is invest in a good set of pots and pans. Pots and pans are really good because there's so many now new products out there where you can cook things with very little oil. And you can use cooking spray, but it all depends in terms of the chemistry and what you're making in it. But the first thing I would do is look at your recipe. I mean, first read it through and see where you can make, because a lot of times we add more oil than we think we need. And so one of the things that as a South Asian that a lot of people make is they take the bottle and they just tip it over the stove. That is a no-no. You have to invest in measuring tools, which means a measuring spoon. Is absolutely
so measure your oil before you cook with it.
Measuring cup, and that's really needed. So I give, you'll be so surprised how much you can reduce that oil by just 1 teaspoon. There's a huge difference between having 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon.
And she's saying something about gravy. What do you?
Well, again, gravy is one of those things that's added because of flour, and we have to sort of get away from this old-fashioned gravy making in terms of a lot of salt and a lot of flours. The natural way to do it is using pan juice and reduction. And lots of water, cooking like, with braising, whether it's a South Asian cooking or Asian cooking or Western cooking, you can do so much with braising. And now, especially it's winter, invest in a really good slow cooker, add water. That's all you need, and lots of vegetables. It's going to give beautiful, beautiful flavor.